right, everybody, welcome back. Ready to dive into something new? Today, we're tackling benchmarking.
Benchmarking.
Now, I know what you're thinking. It sounds a little,
A tad dry.
maybe a textbookish.
Yeah.
But trust me on this one, this concept, it's way more interesting than it might seem at first glance. It's like once you get it, you start to see it everywhere. Everywhere you look, benchmarking. So think of this deep dive as your backstage pass to benchmarking.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah, exactly.
The nitty-gritty.
By the end of this, you'll be dropping benchmarking knowledge bombs in every meeting.
Make drop.
Right. So let's get down to basics, shall we? Benchmarking, at its heart, it's all about comparison, but it's strategic comparison. It's about looking at what you're doing, how well you're doing it, and here's the kicker, stacking yourself up against the best of the best. What are they doing? How are they doing it?
And that stacking up part is crucial. It's not about copying. It's more about, like, dissecting. Figuring out what makes the top performers tick, what strategies are they using, and then most importantly, how you can take those insights and apply them to what you're doing.
So it's about learning from the best, but making it your own.
Exactly.
Okay, so before we get into the how-to, the nitty-gritty, I'm curious, where does this word benchmark even come from?
Oh, this is a good one. The origin story might surprise you. Are you ready for this?
Hit me.
Benchmarking. It comes from the world of guns.
Guns? No way. Seriously.
Seriously. Back in the day, to test a rifle's accuracy, how well it shot, they would fix it to a bench.
Bench.
You got it. They fixed it to benches, and those setups became known as benchmarks.
Wow, talk about unexpected origins. But now that you mention it, it kind of makes sense.
Right.
It's about setting a standard, something to measure against.
A fixed reference point, just like those rifles bolted to the bench. Businesses can use benchmarks to see how their own shots are landing, so to speak. How are they performing? Are they hitting the mark?
I like that. It's a good analogy.
Right. And just like those marksmen back in the day, aiming for the bullseye, businesses, they're aiming for that peak performance. They want to be the best.
Yeah, of course. Who doesn't?
Exactly. And benchmarking, well, that's one of the ways they can get there.
It's all about hitting that target. Okay, but isn't there a risk, of getting too caught up in comparing yourself to others? Where's the line between healthy competition and just feeling inadequate?
Oh, that is such a good point. You're absolutely right. Benchmarking, it shouldn't make you feel like you're constantly falling short. It's not about that at all. It's about
strategic learning.
Yes, exactly. You got to approach it strategically. It's like, think of it this way. You're not trying to become a clone of another company, You're not trying to be them. You're trying to learn from them.
So it's more like stealing your playbook, but rewriting the ending, making it your own.
Yes, exactly. You want to analyze what's working, why it's working, and then take those golden nuggets and see how they fit into your own unique situation.
Okay, I like that. So it's about adaptation, not imitation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So how do we actually go about doing this thing, this benchmarking?
Yeah, let's get practical. What are the different approaches?
Well, you've got different types of benchmarking. Different flavors for different situations.
I like flavors. Hit me.
All right, so first up, you've got internal benchmarking. And as the name suggests, this is all about looking inward. You're comparing different teams or departments within your own organization.
So it's like an internal competition, seeing who's got the magic touch in a specific area.
Yeah, kind of. Like, let's say your marketing team wants to, boost their social media engagement.
Who doesn't?
Right. So they might look at what the sales team's doing. Maybe sales is killing it with those short, snappy video testimonials.
Oh, yeah, those are great.
Right. And marketing can be like, maybe we could try that.
So it's like cross-pollination of ideas.
Exactly. Using your own internal success stories as benchmarks.
Smart.
Right. But internal benchmarking, it does have its limitations. You're only looking within your own bubble. You might be missing out on some even better practices out there in the wider world. And that brings us to external benchmarking.
External benchmarking. Okay, tell me more.
This is where it gets really interesting because now you're looking beyond your own four walls. You're comparing yourself to competitors or even companies in completely different industries. But
they're doing something similar to you.
Exactly. They've got a similar process or function that you're both trying to, nail.
Okay, I'm with you. So give me an example.
Let's see. Think about Amazon.
Okay, they're everywhere, right?
Right. Totally different industries maybe, but their logistics, their supply chain, that's something any company can learn from.
That's true. So it's about finding those universal principles of success.
Bingo. Sometimes the most innovative solutions, they come from the most unexpected places.
I like that, thinking outside the industry box.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got internal versus external. What other benchmarking flavors are we talking about?
All right, so within those categories, you've got three main types: process, performance, and strategic.
Let's break it down. Process benchmarking. What's that all about?
Right, so process benchmarking, this is all about understanding the how. You're dissecting a process step by step to see how they achieve that specific outcome.
So like reverse engineering their success?
Yeah, kind of. Like, imagine a ride-sharing company, right? And they're looking at how a food delivery app, how do they optimize their routes? How are they dispatching drivers?
To get those deliveries out faster.
Yes. They want to shave off those minutes, be as efficient as possible. That's process benchmarking in action.
Interesting. Okay, so that's process. What about performance benchmarking?
Performance, this is more about the what, the results, the outcomes, the numbers.
So like market share, customer satisfaction, all those good metrics.
Yeah, you got it. You're looking at your performance relative to others. Where do you stand? Where do you need to, step it up?
Okay, so process is the how, performance is the what, and then there's strategic. Well, that sounds kind of high level.
Yeah, strategic benchmarking, it's the big picture stuff.
Yeah.
You're analyzing the whole playing field, the trends. How are other companies positioning themselves for the future?
The long game.
Exactly. It's about staying ahead of the curve. Like, let's say you're a traditional book publisher, right?
Okay.
And you see the rise of audiobooks, e-readers, all of that. Strategic benchmarking, that's when they analyze how other publishers, are they adapting their business models? Are they investing in new tech? What are they doing to stay relevant?
So you don't get left behind. It's about anticipating those big shifts.
Exactly. That's the power of understanding these different types. You pick the one or, the combination that makes sense for your situation.
It's like having a toolbox full of different benchmarking instruments.
That's that.
So you've got your tools, but how do you actually use them? Like, what are the steps to actually implement a benchmarking initiative?
Oh, the process can be, it can vary, but there are some general steps that are pretty common to most benchmarking projects. First things first, you got to know what you're aiming for. What are you trying to improve?
You got to have a goal. You're not just benchmarking for the fun of it, right?
Right. It could be anything: improving customer service, maybe streamlining production, boosting employee morale, whatever. But you need that clear objective in mind.
Okay, so step one, define your goals. What's next?
Next, you got to identify the right benchmarks. This is where it gets, interesting again.
Because you're not just looking at your direct competition anymore.
Exactly. You want to think broad. Who's out there killing it in the area you want to improve? And remember, they don't have to be in your industry.
Right, thinking outside the box. So how do you even find these benchmarking superstars?
Well, research. You can hit the industry publications, go to conferences, network, see who's doing impressive things.
It's like tapping into that collective wisdom. Okay, you found your benchmarks, you've got all this data. What then?
Now comes the action. Implementation.
Because knowledge without action is, well...
useless. It's like having a Ferrari and never taking it out of the garage.
Exactly. So what does implementation look like?
Well, this is where you take all those golden nuggets of insight, those best practices, and you turn them into concrete actions.
Make it happen.
Exactly. You might tweak your processes, maybe invest in some new tech, or even do a complete overhaul of, how your organization's structured.
Wow, big changes. It's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
You got it. And remember, implementation, this isn't a one-time thing. This is an ongoing process. You adapt, you refine, you keep improving.
Yeah,
because
things change. The market changes.
Exactly. What works today might not work tomorrow, so you got to stay flexible, stay curious, and be willing to adjust your approach as needed.
So it's a journey, not a destination. Benchmarking, it's a journey.
Love that. It really is. It's all about embracing continuous improvement. Right. Always be learning, growing, striving to be better.
And that's a journey worth taking, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here. The history, the different types, the steps to implement, but let's bring it all home. How is benchmarking actually playing out in the real world? What's the impact?
Well, the cool thing about benchmarking is you can apply it to pretty much anything, any industry, any process.
Yeah.
But let's get specific. One area where benchmarking has had a huge impact: automotive industry.
Cars.
Cars. Think about it. Designing and building a car, it's incredibly complex.
It's not easy.
It's not.
Yeah.
You want it safe, reliable, fuel efficient, stylish, all while keeping the costs down.
That's a lot to juggle.
It is. And car manufacturers, they're constantly benchmarking themselves against the competition.
Makes sense to stay ahead.
Exactly. Take fuel efficiency.
Hmm.
A while back, there was this Japanese automaker. They were known for their, super fuel-efficient
Yeah,
engines.
they were leading the pack.
Totally. And a U.S. automaker. They were like, all right, how are they doing this? They benchmarked their competitors' engine design. And you know what they found?
What? Spill the tea.
They saw key differences in, the combustion chamber design, the variable valve timing system, little tweaks.
So they saw what was working and what adapted those ideas.
Exactly. And guess what?
Yeah.
It worked. They made their own engines more fuel efficient, which boosted sales, and their brand reputation got a nice little bump too.
Everybody wins.
Right. And it's not just about the product design itself. Benchmarking can also help improve manufacturing, customer service, how they manage their supplies, everything.
So it's not just about making things better, it's about working smarter.
Exactly.
Right.
And that means better products, happier customers, and,
More money,
exactly.
the bottom line.
But, it's not just the private sector. Benchmarking can help improve government stuff too.
Oh, really? Like,
Utilities, for example,
Sure.
like electricity providers.
Okay.
In the past, there wasn't a big push for them to be super efficient or to really worry about customer satisfaction.
because they were the only game in town.
Exactly. But things are changing, right? Deregulation, competition. Now they're looking for ways to make these companies step up their game.
And that's where benchmarking comes in.
Bingo. Let's compare these electricity providers. Cost efficiency, customer satisfaction, how reliable is their system? Suddenly, you can see who's the best and who's lagging behind.
It's like a public report card.
Right. And this transparency, it's a game changer. The companies that are behind, they feel the pressure to improve, and the ones doing great, they get rewarded.
So it raises the bar for everyone.
Exactly. Consumers get better service, potentially for less, and the companies are motivated to innovate to improve.
That's amazing. I never realized benchmarking played such a big role in so many different things.
It's often happening behind the scenes, but it has a big impact. And the cool part,
Yeah.
you can apply these principles to your own life.
Oh, okay. I like this. Personal growth.
Right. We've been talking about companies, but we all have goals, things we want to get better at.
For sure. Like learning a new language or
Yeah.
just trying to be a better person,
Exactly. And just like those companies, we can look to others for inspiration, for guidance.
Find people who are already killing it in areas we want to improve.
Yeah. Think of someone you really admire. A successful entrepreneur, maybe an artist, an athlete, anyone who embodies the qualities you want to develop.
Okay, I've got someone in mind. Now what?
Now think about their journey, their habits. What choices did they make? What were their challenges? What did they learn along the way?
It's like we're reverse engineering their success, figuring out their secret sauce.
Right. But remember, just like with the companies, it's not about copying them exactly. It's about understanding those principles, those key ingredients, and adapting them to your life.
So finding your own path, but using their experience as a guide.
Exactly. And just like those companies with their metrics, we can track our own progress, celebrate our wins, learn from any setbacks.
Holding ourselves accountable. But instead of profits, it's about personal growth.
Yes, and remember, benchmarking. It's not just about comparing ourselves to others. It's about comparing ourselves to who we were yesterday, last week, last year.
So tracking our own progress, seeing how far we've come.
Exactly. It's about embracing that growth mindset, believing in your ability to learn, to change, to get better. And that's powerful stuff.
I love that. Benchmarking, it's for everyone. This has been awesome. Thanks for breaking it all down for us.
Anytime. Glad we could share these insights.
And to our listeners, thanks for joining us for another deep dive. We'll be back soon with another fascinating topic that's sure to get you thinking. Until then, keep exploring, keep learning, and remember, always be benchmarking.